Hi there. In this particular video, we are going to discuss about equity swaps. So again, as the word suggests, there are going to be some swap. There is going to be a swap. There are going to be two parties involved, would be exchanging returns. But here, since we have the word equity here, one party, at least out of the two parties that we have, alright, are going to give the return of anything that is related to equity. Alright, could be an index, could be a stock, or it could be a broad index. Alright, but at least one party, alright, both the parties can give different stock returns or different indices return for that matter. But when we are talking about equity swap, at least one of the two parties must give the return of an index or anything that is related to equity. For example, A and B can exchange returns of, say for example, A can give to B the returns of small cap index, and B can in return give the return of mid cap index. Alright, here both the parties are having an equity position, but it could also be created in such a way that A is giving the returns of small cap index to B and B is giving a fixed rate of 7%. We'll still call it an equity swap because at least out of the two parties, one party is involved into what? Into something that is related to equity. Alright, might be the case where B is giving Sensex and A is giving Nifty. Might be the case where B is giving floating interest rate return, and A is still giving Sensex returns. Alright, so out of the two parties, if any one of the parties having an equity related product or equity related return to give, we'll definitely call it an equity swap. Unlike currency swaps, here the notional principal will not be changing hands. Alright, so there was only one swap, that was a currency swap, where the notional principal was actually changing hands because the currency was involved there. But here the notional principal will not be exchanging hands, and will be at the end of the day figuring out the cash settlement value that we need to. Alright, so I'll get started. I have taken an example for fixed return versus equity return. Alright, fixed versus equity, that there are two parties, party A, party B. Alright, party A is giving to party B some equity return, and in return of that, B is giving a fixed rate of return of, say for example, 6.05%. Alright, so B is giving A 6.05 and A is giving B some equity return, could be any index as well. Alright, so we have a question whereby the notional principal is $10 million. Alright, the SFR is nothing but the swap fixed rate, alright, which is already calculated and given to us as 6.05%. If this wouldn't have been calculated, we would have to use all these Z values and figure it out. Alright, at time period 0, this SFR is calculated as 6.05%. Now we are standing at time period 30 days, and after this 30 days have passed, the index, the stock index return which A is giving to B has increased from 985 to 996. Alright, at time period 0 the index value is 985, at time period 30 the index value is 996. So the stock index has increased from 985 to 996. Alright, and we are standing at time period 30 for given that we are standing at time period 30, one thing that we need to know beforehand is whether we have quarterly settlements or semi-annual settlements. Here we have quarterly settlements. So there was some settlement that was to be made on 98th day, something that would on 180th day, something on 270th day, and the last one on 360th day. Alright, quarterly payments. But the SFR that we have is for the annual, it is an annual rate. Alright, standing at the 30th day, we'll have to recalculate the rates, or we'll have to reuse the rates and see how things work around. So for 60 days we are directly given the Z value. Alright, we are given the Z values directly. For 150 days again the Z value is already given to us. For 240 days the Z values are again given to us, and for 330 days the Z value is again given to us. Alright, so here how things would work around is you'll have to look around at all the coupons that would be given from the fixed side on the 98th day, 180th day, 270th day, 360th day. Bring them back to the 30th day. Alright, bring them back to the 30th day, and at the very same time you need to figure out the value of the equity part from here to here. Alright, from 0 to 30th day, because you might have invested 10 lakh rupees, say for example when the equity was 10,000. Now if the equity increases to 20,000, your 10 lakh also doubles. Alright, so equity is something whose value is derived from this end, but when you're doing it for the fixed side, what you need to do is whatever payments you are supposed to make in the coming time period, you need to discount them back. So for example, on the 90th day there is some coupon that the fixed side payer has to pay Alright, so that is to be discounted and brought back to 30th day. Likewise, on 188th day, there is some coupon that is to be paid by the fixed side payer and is to be received by the equity receiver. So that amount needs to be discounted back and brought back to the 30th day. Alright, so we have to have the values of both the legs, of the equity side as well as the of the fixed side, and then we can discount them back and discount them back at one point in time and then compare things. Alright, so I'll do the calculation, you'll understand it how exactly things work around. So fixed side, the idea is simple. What is the SFR? 6.05%. So 0.0605 divided by 4. Alright, that will be the coupon amount on 98, 188, 278, 368 day, given that we multiplied by 10 million. Alright, given that we multiplied by 10 million. Now, what we need to do, we need to discount the first coupon amount. That is, whatever amount comes in, 0.0605 divided by 4 multiplied by 10 million. Alright, so 151,250 is the amount that is coming in. This amount is getting paid on the 98th day, on the 188th day, on the 278th day, and on the 368th day. All of those amounts we need to bring it back to time period 30. How do we bring it back? For this discounting, we'll be using this Z value. For this discounting, we'll be using this Z value. For the discounting for these 240 days, we'll be using this Z value. And likewise, for 330 days, we'll be using this Z value. So that is how exactly it works around. Alright, amount is going to be the same for all these 4 points. Alright, that will be the amount. We need to discount it back for 60 days. So once we are doing it for 60 days, we multiply it by 0.99010. Alright, now again the same amount multiplied by what? Multiplied by the next discount factor. So rather than adding them individually, what I can do here is I can simply apply the distribution rule and put all these Z factors here. 97363 plus 95541 plus 0.93567. Alright, so this is the present value of all the coupons that we're talking about. But for the fixed side, there is notional principal also here on the 368 day which needs to be brought back. So plus that 10 million that we're talking about will get multiplied by the discount factor, which discounts the number from 368 day to the 30th day. So that would be 0.3567. Alright, so let's calculate the number. 0.0605 divided by 4 multiplied by 10 million. Alright, so 151,250 is already the amount that we had calculated originally. Alright, now this coupon is getting discounted 4 times, one for the 60 days time period, the other one for 240 days time period, the other one for 150 days time period, and the last one for 330 days time period. Alright, so let's add the numbers. 99010 plus 0.97363 plus 0.95541 plus 0.93567. 3.85. Alright, we need to multiply this by, that would be 583,040. Alright, this is only for the coupon part. For this number we need to multiply 10 million by 93567. 9356700 plus 583,040. That is 9939740. Alright, this is for the fixed side. Alright, this is for the fixed side. Here we have all the coupon, and with this number we have the principal also brought back through this time period, that is 30th day. Now we need to figure out the value of the equity side as well on time period 30. So the idea is very simple for this. At time period 0 when we started, alright, at time period 0 when we started, the index value was 985, that is given to us in the question. Alright, I had mentioned it here as well that the index value is 985 because the equity pair is paying the returns on the index. Alright, and on the 30th day, the index value has increased to 996. Alright, when we were at time period 0, the principal amount was 10 million. Now we need to look at what exactly is the amount on time period 30 or at time period 30 of this 10 million that we had invested. So it is nothing but cross multiplication. Alright, so this is the value of the equity side. Alright, this is the value of the equity side, and that is the value of the fixed side. Now we can see that the equity side is greater than the fixed side. Alright, quite evident. So what we need to see here is that the person who was receiving equity and paying fixed is the winner. Alright, receiving equity and paying fixed is the winner. By how much? For that we need to find out the difference. So 10,111,675 minus 9,939,740. The amount would be 171,935. 171,935 would be the final amount that we have gotten. Again, this is in favor of whom? For the person who is receiving equity and paying fixed, and that is the value that is getting derived from him. Since this is a cash settlement account, the person who is receiving equity will receive this value, and the settlement would be made. So this is how exactly it works around for equity for fixed. Alright, likewise we'll be doing one more example where we'll be talking about equity for equity. Alright, in this video itself we'll be talking about it. Now we'll be talking about equity swap, but here both the party A and party B will be giving returns related to equity. Alright, so we have an example for that. There is party 1, there is party 2. Party 1 is giving the returns for stock A. Alright, and receiving the returns for stock B. It might be the case that party 1 is bullish on stock B and is bearish on stock A. That is why he has agreed to be in such kind of arrangement. Likewise, we have party 2, which is willing to pay the returns of stock B but is receiving the returns of stock A. So party 2 is bullish on stock A but bearish on stock B, quite opposite to his position. If they were not opposite positions, the contract would not have gotten established. We have a notional principal of 1 million with quarterly settlements again. Alright, so this is something that you need to understand how it works around. And right now we are standing at time period 30 days. Alright, it was meant to be quarterly settlements on 90, 180, 270, 360 days, but right now we are standing at 30 days. The contract was initiated at time period 0. Alright, during this 30 days, or on the 30th day rather I would say, the stock A has gone up by 1.3% and the stock B has gone down by 0.8%. Alright, so whosoever was receiving stock A is the original winner. Alright, so party 2 is definitely the winner here. Why? Because the return for the stock which party 2 was supposed to get has gone up. Alright, and here the returns which party 1 was supposed to get, that is of stock B, has actually gone down. Now we need to understand that what exactly is the amount that is to be paid if the settlement would have happened here. Alright, the idea is simple. Let us look at things from the perspective of party 2. Alright, he is supposed to receive the returns from stock A. So that is 1.3% he is supposed to receive. Alright. Since this is a holding period return, one thing that you need to understand is this 1.3% is holding period return. That is, this much the stock has increased from 0 to 30 days. Alright, so we do not need to de-analyze things here because this is a holding period return. This much is the return that has happened during those 30 days. Alright, so 1.3% is what the party 2 is going to receive in view of this particular arrangement, and he needs to pay the returns of stock B. Alright, so whatever he needs to pay, I'll put a subtract sign to it. Alright, now how much does he need to pay? He need to pay 0.8 negative. Alright, he needs to pay 0.8 negative. Why 0.8 negative? Because say for example, if stock B would have increased by 1%. So 1.3 is supposed to receive and 1% is supposed to pay. Alright, so 0.3% is what the net difference is. But here, since the stock B has gone down by 0.8%. Alright, so less 1.3% less 0.8%. Alright, less 0.8%. So that is the amount which the stock which the party 2 would be gaining. So 1.3% plus 0.8%. You need to multiply this by what? By the notional principal, that is nothing but 1 million. Alright, then you have 2.1% of 1 million, that is 0.021 multiplied by 1 million. Alright, so that is 21,000. So $21,000 is what party B is supposed to receive from party A. Alright, or party 2 is supposed to receive from party 1. Alright, so this is a simple arrangement that we need to understand. The reason why I have taken a question where we have a particular stock going down is because I wanted to explain you this particular idea here. Given that, say for example, if stock B would have gone up by 0.5%, in that case, party B or second party would have received only 1.3% minus 0.5%, that is 0.8% from party 1. But here, since the stock is going down, for that also, the person 2 or the party 2 is making money out of it. Alright, so when we have both the legs as equity, the idea is very simple. We only need to look at the holding period return, and we need to bring things from the time period 0 to the current time period. Alright, and it can be done in a very simple way, as we could see. But when we have fixed rate swaps, or when we have currency swaps, in those cases, what we need to do is we need to look at the future cash flows and need to bring those cash flows back to time period. At whatever time period, you need to figure out the value. Alright, so value calculation is something that we need to brief it up once again. So for example, for forward contracts or for normal interest rate swaps, in those cases what we did was we figured out the new rate or the new price and subtracted from the old one and then adjusted for the discounting part. Alright, so that was one set of, or one way of calculating the value. The second way of calculating the value was when we involved equity swaps or when we involved currency swaps. In those cases, whatever the fixed side that we had, we were standing at a particular point in time, and whatever cash flows that we were going to see in the future had to be discounted and brought it back to this time period, and the discounting was to be done based on the new discount factors or the new discount rates. And for the equity part, if you're standing here and whatever time has passed by, in that time period, by whatever rate the stock market has risen, alright, you have to adjust that particular rate and make sure that the notional principal is calculated in according to those increment, or whether it could decrease as well. You have to make those adjustments to the notional principal and bring it back to this time period. This is how exactly derivative contract valuing works around. So you'll definitely have a case study in the examination from this particular chapter, given that derivatives enjoys a good weightage in the exam. So make sure that you're thorough with it, and the question that you'll be seeing multiple derivative contracts under one case study. So make sure that you are thorough with the equations, with the pricing and with the valuing part. Thank you.